Bonjour et bienvenue au Cas GOP. Est-ce que vous préférez avoir les instructions en français? Do you prefer the instruction in English?
We don't mind.
Donc, chaque équipe va donc vous allez disposer de 20 minutes. Est-ce que vous voyez bien juste ça ici, ça va être le temps qui va descendre de 20 jusqu'à 30. Donc, si jamais le temps se rend zéro, je vais vous arrêter immédiatement. Les juges, par la suite, vont avoir 5 minutes pour poser des questions. Il faut que je rappelle au jury de poser au moins une question par équipe. Et ça ici, c'est pour la foule. Donc, Pierre de ne pas montrer de quelle école que c'est pour risque d'élimination. Puis, fermez votre son de cellulaire si possible. Donc, les juges peuvent maintenant se présenter, puis vous pouvez présenter par la suite.
Bonjour, Evelyne Cardinal, gestionnaire en opérations continues chez Solotech.
Bonjour, Valérie Racine, partenaire d'affaires RH chez Solotech.
Bonjour, Sébastien Truchon, gestionnaire principal des biens locatifs chez Solotech.
Gabriel Boileau, gestionnaire principal chez le Canada.
Pascal Carrière, directeur de la distribution chez nous.
For years, Solotech has been providing customers with quality and innovative rental solutions, quickly becoming an industry leader. My name is Alexa, and this is Olivia, and this is June, and we are Clearview Consulting, here to help Solotech take their operations to the next level and provide a clear view on how to do so. So more specifically, our mandate and why we're here today is to develop an inventory management improvement procedure and a plan for internal change, focusing on 3 key considerations throughout. So the upcoming growth opportunities that is presented to your company, the inventory accuracy issues that you are currently facing, and the difference in mindset among employees about the current procedures and how they're taking place. In terms of your growth opportunities, you're predicting to double in size within the next 3 to 5 years. So that's an important consideration going forward, and before being able to do so, we need to make sure that the other 2 considerations are being addressed. So in terms of the inventory accuracy, it's a really fast-moving environment, and currently the procedures are a little bit tiny. We'll look at that a little bit later. Thirdly, the difference in mindset that's occurring among your employees about your procedures is really stemmed from the diverse backgrounds, experience, and environments that they come from. So our recommendation to you is to optimize your inventory and supplier operations to empower employees to focus on customers and using a 3-pronged approach. So change management, an RFID tagging system, and a supplier management system. So now let's take a step back and look at your current situation. So your core values and what's really the central base of your company is your innovation, your inspiration, and your huge focus on your clients. It's what has led you to become the 3rd largest in North America and hit $250 million in sales in 2017, in accounting for both your rental and your sales division. Now you have over 1,100 employees across US and Canada and a highly experienced CEO leading the way. So Solotech is in an optimal position for this high growth that you're expecting. So looking at your rental division a little bit more, it includes your sound, lighting, and video rigging equipment. And the procedure that currently takes place for your inventory is you scan your inventory. The employees scan the inventory when they're exiting the warehouse and upon the entrance of the warehouse, and it's automatically in the inventory management system. But it's also based on manual inventory counts, which not all employees are doing accurately. So the current issues here is that employees are in a hurry because of the fast-moving nature of the industry and don't always have time to scan the inventory. The inventory counts are not always done due to the employee resistance on the procedures, going back to the different thought processes that they all have. So because of that, you're losing 0.5% of your inventory annually, of the inventory value lost annually, which is about $154,500 in inventory losses. So it's important to take that into consideration and see what we can do going forward. So a seamless inventory management procedure is required to improve your inventory accuracy and your traceability. Now for your sales division, you have permanent installations and maintenance. A to Z projects are a key differentiator, and you have a B2B clientele. So these are all really big differences in your sales division that are not present in your rental division. And you actually don't have a current supplier management system, but a high level of coordination is needed to be able to meet all of the sales requirements, and no inventory is held. Sorry about that. So communication communication and alignment with your suppliers in your sales division is really key to your operation success. Now for the employee mindsets that we spoke about a little bit earlier, so there's different environments, so they're working across different geographic regions. They're coming from different working backgrounds, so some have previously worked with a competitor, some have previously worked at a company that you've acquired, and they're all used to different working methods, so it's important that we have some kind of standardized process and getting them on board with that standardized process. And also the other workshops don't handle international projects, so they are slightly different than the Montreal workshops. So the differences need to be addressed, and again, aligning the employees with these differences is key.
So our recommendation, as mentioned, to optimize the inventory and supply operations, as well as to empower their employees to focus on customers. First of all, looking at change management. Second of all, the RFID tagging. And third, we're going to look at supplier management systems. So let's dive a little bit deeper. First off, looking at the change management, our key goal is to have a town hall meeting to assess and evaluate. Afterwards, we're going to look at a workshop and training and a yearly innovation conference that's going to happen. It's going to be an event that's going to happen every year. RFID tagging, in this instance, we're going to look at the passive radio frequency identification for inventory. So this is going to be done in an iterative fashion, and it's going to be explained a little bit further. And finally, the supplier management system. In this case, we're going to look at a supplier pool for sales, as well as to have a supplier portal to make sure that everything, all communications are as aligned as possible. So, looking at the RFID tagging, first off, we're going to begin with high-value equipment. We're not going to tag every workshop that you have currently, every office at the same time. It's going to be done iteratively, focusing first on the Montreal office, which is your main operations. It's going to be done by the supervisors of the departments, so the ones that are currently preparing all the orders. There's also going to be an installation of scanners, and we're going to make sure that the information systems communicate very well with your current inventory system that you have. Finally, we're going to look at training for the inventory managers as well as for the technical coordinators. Looking at the change management, so first off, for the town hall meeting, we're going to evaluate the differences between Montreal's and other offices. The directors are going to gather data from each location, from the people that are working firsthand. Third, we're going to hold the town hall meeting, which should be sort of a daily meeting with all the main directors and supervisors. Afterwards, we're going to evaluate what can be done, the best practices, determine which ones are the best practices, and then deploy the standardized processes throughout training and workshops. And finally, we're going to make sure that all employees are aligned and focused on this process. For the yearly innovation event, this is a conference where there's going to be workshops and different ideas that are sprouting through. And the idea is to have employees from different offices coming together and collaborating and innovating. So we're going to have a steering committee that's going to organize the event. So determining which location it's going to be held at, what are the main topics, etc. And finally, this is going to promote innovation and collaboration throughout your entire company. Looking at the supplier management system. Now currently, you don't have a pool of suppliers, so it's kind of based off of your R&D department. What we want to do is evaluate and categorize these suppliers based off the products that you're selling. So for example, you have your products that are the fixed installations, the video billboards. One of the things that you can use is, okay, how many companies have the video can offer this solution, for example. And then the supplier portal for communications on delivery, equipment, and contracts. So we know that coordination is extremely important. In this case, the supplier portal is going to allow you to have the orders come in and have a full visualization of what you need. We're going to track the supplier performance, so this tool is also going to allow you to look at, okay, who's on time delivery, which equipments are the best quality, for example, and assess the contract needs. We're also going to look at definitely training the employees in the sales division to be able to use the tool. And finally, in a long term, we're going to look at the strategic supplier tiers, so properly optimizing which suppliers are the best, which ones could use a little bit more work and help, and contract optimization. What's next? So we're looking at future innovations. In this case, the future innovations are going to happen after our implementation plan. However, these are a few ideas that we think could be very efficient for going forward. The first off is vision picking and layout. So the way that vision picking it works is in augmented reality glasses. Essentially, it's a system that will connect to your inventory management system as well as your ordering system. So the idea is the person who's going to go pick and prepare the orders, they're going to know exactly where to go. So in the glasses, it's going to tell them, go to this part of your workshop, pick this, put it here, for example. Also, we're going to look at optimizing the layout, so making sure that all the functions would work, all the movements are going to work properly, and categorizing your types of inventories, for example. So in this case, we're going to look at having, if you have different, you mentioned a show kit, but they're not different types of show kits. So in this case, we can categorize the show kits by grade and also by types of products that are needed. So for example, for a small concert, you can have this types of products as a base show kit, and then after that, you would build off of that. So so the picking will be done faster. In this case, we're looking at sustainable offices. So in the future, this is a really big trend. Sustainable offices, we're looking at the Internet of Things for your temperature, your maintenance, your lighting of your offices, and as well as the energy that you're using. So if you can have solar panel energy for that, for the operations. As well as reverse logistics and repairs. So in this case, we're looking at if there's an item that breaks, is it possible to bring it back, repair it here, or are you outsourcing the repairs, etc.? In this idea, we don't want to eliminate or discard too many items, so we want to make sure that we're being as economical as possible. And finally, the centralization of all information systems. For now, for our first year implementation, we want to keep it separate. However, in the future, this is something to consider heavily, given the dynamic between the sales division as well as the rental division.
Now,
So looking a little bit further for the timeline, we're going to look at the supplier relationship management that's going to span across 2 first quarters. In this case, we're going to look at the tool that we're going to have first, identify which tool is best. Afterwards, we're going to look at as well to implement that, and that's why it's so long, it's for 2 quarters. So there's the implementation and the training that's considered in there. The evaluation of best practices in this case, they're going to be between, that's for the, sorry, my apologies, that's for the implementation of the town hall meetings. So in this case, the evaluation of the best practices are going to happen in the first 2 months. Afterwards, the town hall and the training are going to happen subsequently. Finally, the RFID tagging. So we're going to take 3 months to tag all of your main components, making sure that the high value components are first and afterwards the lower values. Finally, we're going to look at the installation of the scanners, the information system coordination, and the evaluation and monitoring of our entire implementation plan. Now, the future options are going to be evaluated in Q1 to see what can be optimized from that perspective.
Now, with our strategy, there's a few risk and mitigation that we outline. So the first risk is the employee risks. Keeping in mind that you have a very diverse background, but also they're very experienced, so resistance is definitely expected. So to mitigate that, we want a good communication plan. We want to really align all the workers of all offices and really have a standard approach to this, because keeping in mind that they are also willing to see technological improvements. So second is the employees leaving. So this is like kind of a worst case scenario when, for example, employees are leaving because they don't like the strategy. But to mitigate that, we want to hire new savvy, innovation savvy workers and talent that are aligning with our culture. So RFID is very innovative. Not every company has it. But we really want to have people who are really engaged with the RFID tagging and moving on forward. Now the timeliness of the project. So with the passive RFID that we're going to implement, so there might be an issue, for example, not being done on time, and also with the information system and also the supplier management system. So to mitigate that, we want to have strict contract penalties and really connect with the information system provider to really allow to mitigate this risk. Now, let's look over the key performance indicators. So the indicators that you're going to track in order to see the process improvements. So the inventory accuracy, we want that above 99%. So RFID is definitely proven to provide 99% inventory accuracy with the actual inventory and also the inventory system accuracy. Second is the loading time. So the people who are loading the orders, we want to decrease that by 10%. So keeping in mind that the employees don't have to scan these anymore, they just have to walk through, exit aisle. And we want to increase that by 10%, really allowing it to be really productive. And third, the productivity overall. How many cases can each person handle? How many situations can they handle throughout the day? And we want to increase that by 15% with our RFID and our implementation of information systems. Now, looking into the financials, so keeping in mind that we're not using active RFIDs, we're going to use passive, which are lower in cost. So for example, to give you a quick idea, active RFID, it can cost up to $50 per tag. But the passive RFID can cost up to down to 10 cents per tag. The active RFID will be used for very expensive, and if you want to track up to 100 feet in distance. However, we're dealing with international operations, and operations that are very far away, so we want to use the passive RFIDs. So the scanner would cost $270,000. So that's taking into consideration of all your offices right now. And the yearly cost would be $10,000 just for overall maintenance, compatibility, etc. Second is the RFID tagging. So we consider a cost of 25 cents per tag to be conservative, and it yearly costs $5,000 just for overall improvements, efficiency, etc. Keeping in mind that the tagging does not have to be repeated because we're focusing on renting the products. So it's just one tag and done. So the third is a town hall meeting just for overall internal improvements and aligning everybody with their goals. That's going to cost $40,000. Supplier management system, $100,000. That's what we're expecting with the yearly cost of $20,000. And that yearly cost is mainly for making sure that all the information systems are compatible and aligned with your goals. And lastly, the training. So we estimated that you have 1,100 employees in all your offices, and we just approximated $200 per employee for the training of this new RFID system and all the information system, and we added an yearly cost. So the total cost for next 2 years, it will be approximately $690,000. Now, looking into the RFID inventory, return on investment, and break-even point. This is strictly the break-even point that you would have on the RFID only. So the tagging cost will be $15,000. Keep in mind the 25 cents per product, and we're going to start with the expensive ones. The scanning cost is $270,000, and keeping in mind that right now you have 0.5% of inventory loss per year. So we're going to eliminate that with the 99% accuracy with RFID. So we're going to be able to save approximately $154,000 per year. And the break-even point with that would be 1 year and 9 months with the passive RFID implementation.
So now, going back to why we came here today was to develop an inventory management improvement procedure and a plan for internal change, looking at the growth opportunities of your company, the inventory accuracy issues, and the difference in mindset among employees about procedures. And our recommendation was to optimize the inventory and supplier operations and empower employees to focus on customers using the three-pronged approach: change management, RFID, and the supplier management system. So in terms of the change management, what we really want to emphasize here is empowering employees to focus on customers by eliminating redundant tasks such as manually counting inventory, manually tagging products when they're coming in and out of the inventory. The RFID tagging will, of course, go in line with that change management and allow for better inventory accuracy and traceability in your system. And then finally, the supplier management system will touch on your second division, allowing you to improve operations in that sector as well. So we now thank you for listening, and we open the floor to questions.
So let me start. Thanks a lot, guys. It was very good. There's a lot of new things in the presentation. One thing that caught my mind is the visual picking system. And can you guys tell me what's the gain you think you guys are going to get by the visual picking versus the vocal system or the scanning system?
So the thing with the vocal system is that it's not yet smart, if you will. The visual picking system is a lot more intuitive. So for example, it'll tell you exactly where to go, but it'll also allow you to scan things at the same time. It'll allow you to see everything kind of happening real time, but as well as it's a little bit smarter in the sense that it not only will it tell you where to go, but it'll kind of optimize your entire layout. So instead of, and then for example, if you input the automated, if we start with, for example, a show kit, it'll be able to build up that show kit and place it where you need it to be.
I had a question on your supplier management. What system would you use and how would you implement this?
So, for example, one of the systems that we have considered in this case could be something as easy as a cloud solution to be able, kind of like a supplier portal, to be able to enter all of your information. Usually, for example, something like SAP, they have these solutions available. And I apologize, what was the rest of the question?
Just how would you implement this? I know you said, I think, 3 months or so.
So we would determine the vendor, and afterwards have strict contract SLAs, making sure that that's tracked. And finally, we're going to implement, perhaps have a consultant come in to help with that implementation, and then the training.
I think on your time frame it was 18 months, right, to make all those changes.
Yes.
Isn't it a bit short to bring like a new system, you know, just to make those like town hall meetings, like a lot of change management?
Well, so for the town hall meeting and training, that was really mostly done in the first quarter. So we see that it doesn't take long, for 3 months to gather everyone and really get feedback and analyze their needs and go ahead with that change management. We think that's enough, but essentially the change management process goes throughout because at the beginning we're just communicating the benefits of the changes that are coming. And then in terms of the RFID tagging, yes, it is optimistic, but we want it to be done as fast as possible because the benefits that you'll reap from those inventory losses are substantial, and we want to really push that implementation as fast as possible. And again, we already have an inventory system in place, so the RFID tagging, the RFID just kind of connects with the inventory system, so it's not a whole new system. And the supplier management system is separate, yes, but it's with another division, so we'll have another team working on that.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you.